Stay with me, Malik. Just hold on, all right? His voice cracked as he whispered, gripping the tiny 6-year-old tightly in his arms. Malik whimpered, face pale against his father's chest. I'm okay. Daddy, it really hurts. Blood from a nasty gash on his shin had soaked through his prep school uniform. What started as an innocent playground accident spiraled into a father's worst nightmare. Asher had dropped everything, canceled a multi-million-dollar contract call from Zurich mid-sentence, and boarded a jet home. His driver barely stopped before Asher flung the car door open. My beautiful family, welcome to Love and Twilight, where stories of love, healing, and second chances come alive. If this moment speaks to your heart, don't just watch. Be part of the journey. Type I believe in love in the comments so we can light up this space with hope and connection. Your thoughts matter, so share your feelings below and inspire someone else today. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that could touch your soul. Together, let's build a community where love always wins. Lenox Medical Pavilion's security recognized him immediately, but he didn't care for titles now. Out of my way, Asher shouted. Get a trauma nurse stat. Doctors and nurses flinched as the man who usually ruled from boardrooms now barreled through the emergency wing like a hurricane. The smell of antiseptic assaulted his nose. Every step back into a hospital tugged at a part of his past he never healed. Sir. A nurse in light blue scrubs stepped forward. ER is under sterilization. Patients are being routed through maternity overflow on level 3. Maternity? Asher blinked, rage simmering under confusion. The nurse pointed toward the elevators. Stitches and trauma are being processed near pediatrics. Just go to level 3. He grunted and charged ahead, cradling Malik's head as if it were glass. The elevator door dinged open. Malik moaned softly. I've got you, son. You'll be okay. You're safe. The third floor was uncharacteristically quiet. Most hospital wings buzzed with beeping monitors and murmuring staff. But here, dim lights, distant cries, a cold stillness as if time paused. Asher turned left, instinctively heading toward the pediatric emergency intake station. That's when he saw it. Room 418. The door wasn't shut completely. The curtain was drawn, barely. Inside, he stopped walking. Everything inside him froze. Her hair was still curly, still dark and wild. Her legs were propped up in stirrups, hospital gown rumpled around her belly. Her face was contorted in pain, hands clutching the side rails, breasts heaving from effort. She was in labor. She was alone. And she was Lainey, the woman who had ghosted him 7 months ago, the woman he once thought would be his forever, until one day she vanished like a ghost in daylight. Lainey Rivera, the one who took a piece of his soul when she left. Daddy, why is that lady screaming? Malik mumbled from his arms. Asher couldn't speak. He couldn't think. He couldn't breathe. He stepped closer to the cracked door, barely realizing he was moving. Lainey? His voice came out low, hoarse, ragged, not like him. She turned, eyes wide, full of sweat, panic, and unmistakable shock. Asher. She gasped. What are you doing here? Malik stirred, then groaned. Bleeding. Playground, Asher muttered like an automaton. A nurse nearby raised her head. You the father? Asher stared blankly. Of Lainey's baby, the nurse replied, glancing back into the room as the doctor prepped for delivery. Lainey's mouth opened, but nothing came out. The silence said everything. Malik, noticing the tension, looked between them. Daddy. Is she okay? Asher forced the words out. She's having a baby. The nurse carefully took Malik and handed him a small digital sketch pad. Sweetheart, why don't you draw something while we help your dad and that lady, okay? Malik nodded slowly, still watching Lainey. Asher walked toward her bedside, staring into the eyes of the woman who once shattered him. You're giving birth? He asked, even though the evidence was right there. Lainey nodded slowly. I never meant for you to find out this way, she whispered. Asher's voice dropped. Then when? Her face scrunched in pain as another contraction surged through her. I didn't want to ruin your life. He leaned in. You ruined my life the moment you disappeared. Tears streamed down her face. I was pregnant. I wasn't sure. Then I was sure. But I couldn't bring myself to tell you. And now I find you. Like this? His voice cracked. Giving birth. Alone? I deserve that look, she said softly. I didn't want to be a burden. You were never a burden. The words escaped before he could catch them. Another contraction. The doctor shouted, "We're crowning." "One more push, Lainey," she whimpered. I can't. You can, Asher whispered, grabbing her hand tightly. I'm here. I'm not leaving. The first cry. With a scream that tore through the hallway, Lainey pushed. A cry filled the air. High, fragile, beautiful. The nurse wrapped the tiny baby in a pink blanket. One girl, healthy, beautiful. Lainey burst into tears. Asher stared, his chest caving inward as emotion choked him. Congratulations, the doctor said. But we're not done yet. What? Asher blinked. Lainey winced. There's another one. Another one? He echoed. The doctor nodded. Twins. Another contraction tore through Lainey's body. Asher held her hand like it was his lifeline. Lainey panted. She's coming. I can feel her. You've got this, Asher whispered. Moments later, the room filled again with the sound of life. The second baby girl. Quieter than the first, but just as radiant. They laid her on Lainey's chest. Both daughters in her arms now. Asher stood there, staring. Two daughters. His daughters. And Lainey, the woman he never stopped loving, had kept it all hidden. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Instead, he did the only thing that felt real. He sat beside her, placed a trembling hand on his newborn daughter's head, and whispered, "You were never a mistake." Lainey held both babies, tiny squirming bundles of life. Sasha and Sarai. She hadn't said the names out loud yet, but Asher knew, as if something ancient inside him whispered them to his soul. Malik sat nearby on a padded chair with a crayon in his hand and wide eyes. "Daddy," he asked, "are those babies your babies too?" Asher's jaw flexed. He wasn't ready for that question. Not yet. He turned to Lainey instead. "I need the truth." Lainey didn't look away. She was exhausted, sweaty, pale, but something about her eyes was still the same. Fierce and soft at once. "I found out 2 weeks after I left," she began. "I was dizzy. I chalked it up to stress. But then the nausea started, and when I saw the test..." She paused, blinking rapidly. "I panicked. I thought it was some cruel twist. You and I had just collapsed." Asher leaned against the windowsill, silent. "You didn't even fight for me," she whispered. "I figured I'd been replaced by your boardroom in under 24 hours. You sent a breakup text, Lainey," he said, biting down on the bitterness. "Not even a goodbye in person. Just a line that said, 'I can't be what you need. Goodbye.'" "I was scared," she murmured. Asher's fists clenched. "You were pregnant, and you didn't think I deserved to know?" "I didn't know if they were yours," she confessed. That stung more than it should have. "I'm not the only man you were with?" he asked, voice low. Lainey closed her eyes. "I was broken, Asher. You didn't ask why I left. You just moved on." "I didn't move on," he snapped. "I died in silence, alone, like a fool." A nurse passed by and slowed at the sound of tension, but Lainey shook her head. "They needed no audience. I went to Mexico for a corporate women's retreat," Lainey said. "It was supposed to be healing." There was one night, a moment of weakness. Asher looked away, his jaw working. 2 months later, she added, "I did a paternity test when I got back. They're yours." His breath hitched. "Both?" Lainey nodded. "Identical. 1 egg, 1 donor, 1 man." Asher's stomach twisted. "And still, you didn't call? I didn't know how to face you. So you thought giving birth in silence was the better route?" Her eyes welled with fresh tears. Yes, the moment should have been filled with rage, but instead it was filled with something worse, longing. He watched Lainey cradle their daughters, her trembling arms, her wild curls clinging to her temples, her lips, whispering tiny nothings to 2 lives she kept hidden from him. "You named them?" he asked, softer now. "I waited until I saw them," she said. "Sasha, Sarai. They came to me like prayers. They're perfect." Lainey blinked in disbelief. "You're not angry?" "Oh, I'm furious," he growled. "But I'm also hypnotized. I can't stop looking at them, and I can't stop thinking about what it would have been like if I had been here." She looked down. I never wanted to rob you of this. I just didn't think you'd want more kids. Why would you think that? You told me once that Malik was enough, that you were done with being vulnerable. Asher swallowed hard. That was after I lost my brother, he said, and I was afraid to love again. I never said you couldn't be part of that healing. Malik tugged on his dad's sleeve. Dad, are those babies really my sisters? Asher looked at his son. Yes, he said, kneeling. They are. Why didn't I know? Asher hesitated. Because grown-ups mess things up sometimes, he admitted. We make bad choices when we're scared, but I promise we'll fix it. Can I hold one? Malik asked. Lainey blinked. She smiled. Yes, baby. Come sit beside me. A nurse helped him onto the bed. Sarai, the quieter twin, was gently placed in his arms. She's really small, he whispered. She's your sister, Lainey said, voice cracking. She already loves you. Asher felt something shift in him. Watching Malik cradle his sister, smiling softly, all the fury, all the pain, it dulled under the weight of a new reality. This wasn't a betrayal. It was a beginning. The room fell into a strange calm. Lainey handed Sasha to Asher. He sat down slowly, holding the warm, squirmy weight against his chest. Sasha yawned. She had his nose. She had Lainey's chin. He was gone. I don't know if I can forgive you, he said honestly. Lainey didn't flinch. I don't expect that, but I need answers. Ask me anything. What happens next? Lainey stared at the ceiling. I don't know. Well, Asher said, cradling Sasha tighter. You're not leaving this hospital without me knowing where you live. She gave a small, tired laugh. Still bossy. I've changed, he said, but not when it comes to what's mine. She gave him a look. Don't say things like that if you don't mean them. I wouldn't hold your baby if I didn't. Asher looked around the room. White walls, pale blue curtains, machines humming faintly. The last time he was in a maternity ward, it was when Malik was born. Lainey had almost died from blood loss. He remembered praying for the first time in years, promising to be better if she just lived. She did. But they didn't. I still remember how you looked when Malik was born, he said quietly. She blinked. Do you? You cried when he first opened his eyes. I cry a lot. No, you don't, he corrected. You pretend to. But that night, you were real. And I swore I'd never let anything hurt you again. Lainey's breath caught. Then why did you stop holding me at night? That silenced him. The emotional weight in the room grew heavier than air. Asher kissed Sasha's forehead, then passed her back to the nurse. I'll give you space, he said finally. You don't have to. I think we both do, he replied. This isn't over. But it's too raw right now. Lainey nodded. Asher stood, straightened his blood-stained shirt, and walked to Malik. Ready to get your stitches? Are you mad at Miss Lainey? Malik asked softly. No, Asher replied, gently ruffling his son's curls. I'm just surprised. She's nice, Malik said. She gave me her crackers in the waiting room last month. Asher's head whipped around. What? Malik smiled. We saw her here once. She said her tummy was hurting. I thought she was hiding puppies under her sweater. Asher stared at Lainey. She looked away. He exhaled. We'll talk later, he said. Lainey nodded, voice trembling. I'll be here. Lainey lay in bed, eyes fluttering between sleep and panic. Two tiny bassinets flanked her hospital bed, each holding a swaddled miracle. Sasha stirred first, lip trembling before a soft cry followed. Sarai remained still, the calmer one, breathing in small, perfect puffs. She reached out weakly and touched both bassinets at once. She was a mother of 3 now, and for the first time since the night she'd sent that devastating goodbye message, Asher knew. Asher stepped back into the room, this time without Malik. The boy was with a nurse in pediatrics, a Looney Tunes bandage on his shin and a juice box in hand. He was asking if his sisters liked dinosaurs. Lainey looked up as Asher closed the door behind him. You didn't have to come back, she said, throat still hoarse. Yes, he replied, walking closer. I did. He sat on the edge of the chair beside her bed. I'm trying not to be angry, he admitted. She turned her face toward the window. It's okay. You can be. No, I can't. Not when I'm looking at proof that life had other plans for us. There was silence then. I wasn't planning on telling you at all, she whispered. Why? His voice cracked slightly. Laney's eyes shimmered. Because you're Asher Lennox. Because I watched you on TV, closing deals, taking over companies, sitting beside women I could never compete with. You think I left you for those women? She hesitated. I didn't, he said firmly. Not once. Laney's voice dropped. You changed. You got colder, and I didn't know how to thaw you without losing myself. He rubbed a hand down his face. Losing you was the only thing I truly failed at, he muttered. The door cracked open gently. Malik stepped inside, holding a crayon drawing. Dad, he said softly. Can I show her? Asher nodded. Malik walked over and handed the paper to Laney. 3 stick figures. A tall man, a woman with curly hair, and a boy holding hands with 2 small baby figures. Laney's lip trembled. This is us? She asked. Malik grinned. Yeah. I drew it while I waited. Are we going to be like that? Laney blinked back tears. I don't know yet, she answered honestly. Asher looked at the drawing and then at Laney. We could try. Sasha began to cry. Sarai followed within seconds. Laney struggled to lift one baby into her arms. Asher stood and reached for the second. I've got her, he said. You sure? I watched about 10 parenting YouTube videos on the plane back, he replied dryly. Let's see if they work. Laney laughed, genuinely for the first time in months. Asher cradled Sarai while Laney nursed Sasha under the blanket. Her eyes fluttered shut from the effort, the pain, the beauty of it all. Asher watched silently, watched how she swayed ever so slightly, humming a lullaby, watched her become a mother again right in front of him, and it unraveled something in him. He hadn't known how much he missed this, not just her. The U.S. they once were. Laney rested back on her pillow. Do you remember our last fight? She asked. Asher nodded slowly. I do. You were on the phone when I told you I had a doctor's appointment. I said I was scared, and you waved me off. I was negotiating a merger. I was bleeding. His heart stopped. I didn't tell you everything, she whispered. It was the second time it happened. I thought I was miscarrying. I thought I lost what we didn't even know we had. He stood, pacing slowly. You never told me, he said. I tried, but you were always somewhere else. He stopped. I hate that you were right, he said. I hate that I lost you before I knew how badly I needed you. Laney placed Sasha back into her bassinet, then turned to him. I didn't want to be the woman who begged, she said. So I became the woman who ran. And I didn't want to be the man who broke down, Asher replied. So I let you. They looked at each other. No more rage, just regret. Asher sat back down. I'm not going to pretend we're okay, he said. We're not. I know. But I want to be involved. With the twins, with Malik, with you. Laney breathed deeply. Do you mean that? Or is this just post-shock compassion? I mean it, he said. Then you have to show up, not just now, but every day. I can do that. And if you leave again, I won't. Don't promise unless it's real, Asher. He reached out, brushing a finger against her cheek. I'm not promising. I'm proving it. Starting now. The evening sun painted golden streaks on the hospital walls. Outside, the city bustled like nothing had changed. But inside room 418, everything had. Malik snored softly on the fold-out chair. The twins slept side by side. Laney lay back on the pillow, eyes heavy but heart lighter. Asher stood at the window, one hand in his pocket, the other gripping the side of the curtain. He wasn't a CEO right now. He wasn't a man at war with love. He was a father, a man who'd stumbled back into the life he'd almost lost and found 3 reasons to stay. The hospital wing was quiet again. Most of the staff had thinned out. Only the hum of machines and the occasional squeak of nurse shoes remained. Malik lay curled under a light blanket on the visitor's recliner, his crayon drawing resting on his chest. Sasha and Sarai, freshly changed and fed, were tucked into separate bassinets beside their mother's bed. Asher stood in the corner, arms folded, staring at nothing. Laney broke the silence. You're still here. I said I wouldn't leave. You didn't say you'd stay either. He looked at her, his expression unreadable. Fair enough. She shifted, the soreness from delivery still fresh. She tucked a pillow behind her back and cleared her throat. Do you remember when you told me I was reckless with feelings? Yes, you were right. She didn't wait for sympathy. I held on to the pain so tight I forgot what softness felt like. I told myself you didn't care, that you'd moved on. It made it easier to hate you than miss you. Asher exhaled through his nose. I told myself you were weak for leaving, that I was better off alone. She nodded slowly. We both lied to ourselves. And each other. He walked to the edge of the bed, but didn't sit. You weren't supposed to carry all this by yourself, he said. You didn't ask if I needed help. I didn't think I had the right after you left. I didn't leave because I hated you, she whispered. I left because I hated the version of myself that stayed. That hit him harder than he expected. He sat down finally, elbows on his knees. You know what hurt most? He asked. Lainey waited. You left while I was still choosing you, every single day, even when I couldn't show it right. Tears brimmed in her eyes. I didn't know that, because I didn't say it. I thought you'd always know. I used to wait by the door for you to come home, she said. I used to rehearse apologies in the car before I walked in. You never said any of them. I figured if I brought home another contract, another win, you'd feel safer. I didn't want wins, Asher. I wanted you. His voice was tight. I didn't know how to give myself to someone without losing control. Well, she replied softly, you lost me instead. They sat in the stillness, wrapped in shared regret. A soft cooing noise pulled both their gazes toward the bassinets. Sasha kicked her legs gently, face scrunching before her mouth opened in protest. Sarai followed seconds later with a matching wail. Lainey tried to sit up again, but Asher had already stood. I've got them, he said. She watched, surprised, as he walked straight to the bassinets and scooped up both girls, one in each arm. His large hands cradled them effortlessly. The way he looked at them, like they were precious. He sat with them, rocking gently, whispering nonsense to quiet them. You're a natural, Lainey said, astonished. He looked down at the girls, then back at her. I missed this with Malik. I was so focused on being a provider that I forgot how to be present. You're doing it now. I don't want to miss it again. There was a letter, she said suddenly. He looked up. I wrote it the week I left, never sent it. What did it say? That I loved you, that I was drowning, that I didn't know how to breathe in your world. He set the twins down and walked over slowly. You should have sent it. I didn't think you'd read it. I would have. 100 times. Lainey blinked away tears. I hated the idea that you stopped needing me, she whispered. I never did, he said. I just stopped knowing how to show it. Asher sat back on the bed. I want to do this right, he said. Lainey raised an eyebrow. Do what? This family, you, Malik, the twins, even if it means changing how you live. He nodded. I'll delegate more, work less. I'll show up. You can't fix the past in one day. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm trying to start over. She looked at him long and hard. You're serious. I am. Lainey lowered her eyes. And what if I'm scared? He reached out and held her hand. Then I'll be brave enough for both of us. A soft knock interrupted them. It was Malik, in his socks, holding a juice pouch. I couldn't sleep, he mumbled. Asher opened his arms. Malik climbed onto the bed beside Lainey, snuggling between them. Did you fight? He asked sleepily. No, Lainey said, wrapping an arm around him. We talked. Are you mad at each other? No, Asher said. We're trying to figure stuff out, like a puzzle. Exactly. Malik yawned. Then I want to be one of the pieces. Lainey smiled, tears threatening again. You already are, she whispered. The hospital dimmed its lights for evening hours. A gentle hush wrapped around room 418. Lainey lay in bed with her hair untied, soft curls spilling over the pillow. Her hospital gown was slightly loosened at the neckline, exposing a collarbone Asher hadn't seen in almost a year. Malik had finally drifted off in a nearby chair, clutching a coloring tablet. The twins slept beside him, one hand reaching for the other even in sleep. Asher stood at the window again, hands buried in his pockets. You're doing that thing again, Lainey said softly. He turned. What thing? Looking out like you're about to jump. I'm not. Then why do you look like you're still trying to run? Asher slowly walked over to her bedside. I don't know how to act around you anymore, he admitted. You mean because I gave birth to your children without telling you? He gave a dry chuckle. That's part of it. They sat in silence again, the air humming with unfinished sentences. I still think about you, she whispered. Asher looked up. Sometimes I wake up reaching for you, she continued. Even after everything. He swallowed. Same, he said. Her eyes flicked to his chest, then his lips, then back to his eyes. I don't know what to do with how I feel, she murmured. Let it be what it is, he replied. Lainey blinked. And what is it? Undeniable. He leaned in slowly. There was no rush, no need to prove anything. Their lips met like two halves reuniting after a long exile. The kiss wasn't gentle. It was aching. Familiar, but urgent. She gasped against his mouth, his hands sliding around her neck, anchoring her in a way she forgot she craved. Lainey moaned softly. The sound alone nearly broke him. You're insane, she breathed between kisses. I've always been insane for you, he whispered, brushing his lips across her jaw. Asher moved the sheet down gently. Her legs parted with hesitation, but not resistance. I just had twins, she whispered again. I'm not taking anything from you, he said. I just want to remember how you feel. His hand traced the curve of her thigh, slow and reverent. She arched slightly. Her body remembered before her mind did. Her breasts, swollen from nursing, ached beneath the fabric. He reached up, cupped one through the gown, and gently teased her already tender nipple. She cried out. He swallowed the sound with another kiss. You're going to make me lose my mind, she whimpered. That's the plan. It didn't become full-blown passion. Lainey was still healing, but Asher kissed every inch of her with a devotion that undid her walls one breath at a time. The heat between them wasn't about sex. It was about memory, belonging, knowing exactly how to bring each other home. She gripped the back of his head as he kissed his way down to her hip. You never forgot me, she whispered. I couldn't. You never stopped loving me. I wouldn't. They lay side by side on the small hospital bed, his arm under her neck, her hand on his bare forearm, both staring at the ceiling like it held answers. You really fed them earlier, she said, a small smile playing on her lips. Both at once. How'd it feel? Like holding my second chance. She looked at him, eyes shining. You've changed. He turned to her. So have you. Think we'll break each other again. We might. And if we do, we'll glue each other back together. Over and over. A soft whimper echoed. Sasha stirred. Lainey started to rise, but Asher was already on his feet. I've got her. He lifted the baby, cradled her against his chest, and began to hum something low and soothing. Something he used to sing to Malik. Lainey watched him from the bed. Asher. Her chaos. Her calm. The one who always broke her and somehow always put her back together. He caught her looking. You're staring, he teased. You're beautiful, she said. He chuckled. No one's ever said that to me while I burped a baby. Well, she said, smiling. I say what I mean now. Later, after both twins were asleep again, Lainey picked up her phone. She opened the drafts folder. The old letter was still there. Unsent. She read it again, then deleted it. The present was better than any apology the past could offer. Asher leaned over and kissed her shoulder. What was that? He asked. Just letting go. The light streaming through the hospital window was soft and amber. Morning had arrived, but the city noise hadn't yet filtered in. Asher sat upright on the edge of the hospital bed, shirt half-buttoned, hair tousled, eyes alert. His phone buzzed endlessly with backlogged meetings and voicemails, but he hadn't touched it. Lainey stirred gently beside him, her eyes fluttering open. Are you still here? She murmured, voice raspy with sleep. He glanced back. Yeah, you didn't even sleep. I watched you. Her cheeks flushed. You're intense. And you're dangerous. Dangerous? He nodded. You make me want things I swore off. Malik entered the room carrying a bowl of cornflakes and almond milk. He plopped beside the bassinets and announced, I think we should all live together now. Lainey raised a brow. Oh? He munched loudly. It just makes sense. I mean, Dad's here, you're here, babies are here. Why are there so many houses? Asher laughed. You're 6 and already making real estate decisions? He teased. I'm serious, Malik said, slurping milk. I don't want to live in one house if my sisters live in another. Lainey blinked. She hadn't thought that far ahead. Asher leaned forward. Would you like that, Lainey? She hesitated. It's not just about what I want. Later that morning, the pediatrician came in to check the twins. Malik was escorted downstairs to the cafeteria. Asher stood at the foot of the bed while Lainey swaddled Sasha again. "I thought I knew how to protect myself from pain," he said. She looked up, puzzled. "But then last night, watching you cry, watching Malik draw us like we were already a family again, it broke something in me. Asher, I cried in the elevator," he admitted, "right after I walked out the first time. That night you left, Lainey's face went pale. I punched the mirror, scared my own driver, went back into that penthouse and just collapsed." He rubbed his hands together, voice trembling. "And last night, when I held Sarai, I cried again, but not because I was broken, because something healed." Lainey climbed out of bed slowly, barefoot, dressed in a fresh hospital robe. She walked up to him without saying a word and placed her palm on his chest. He looked down at her hand, then back into her eyes. She reached up and kissed him. This one was different, not desperate, not fueled by unresolved passion. It was soft, warm, healing. When they broke apart, she whispered, "You still make me feel safe." And just like that, Asher's eyes shimmered. A single tear rolled down his cheek. "You still make me feel like I have something to lose," he whispered back. A nurse came in mid-moment, carrying folded blankets. She paused. "Oh," she said, grinning slightly. "Should I give you two a moment?" Lainey laughed nervously, wiping her face. "No," Asher replied calmly. "We're just rebuilding." The nurse nodded. "Keep doing that. These babies deserve a full story, not half a chapter." She placed the blankets on the side table and left. "You know you don't have to come home with me, right?" Asher said. Lainey turned from the window. "I'm not asking because I expect anything. I just want you and the girls to be where you're safe, where Malik can be close. And you?" He smiled softly. "I'll be there too, but only if you want me." Lainey hesitated. "I don't have answers yet. You don't need to." He stepped forward, pressing his forehead to hers. "I'll give you space, but not distance. Not again." Sasha began to cry. Asher picked her up instinctively. She settled instantly in his arms. "You're already her favorite," Lainey said. "She knows a man with regrets when she sees one." Lainey laughed through the tightness in her throat. "You keep saying things that make me feel too much. That's because I mean them." By afternoon, Lainey was cleared for discharge. Asher made the arrangements. No one questioned him, not even the hospital admin. After all, his name was on the building. Lainey stepped into the hallway slowly, her bag in one hand, Malik holding the other. A nurse followed behind with the twins in a double stroller. Asher walked beside her without touching her. "Not yet." Lainey noticed. "You're holding back. I don't want to assume I'm welcome." She stopped walking, turned to him. "You're not a guest," she said. "You're their father." He blinked. "And what about you?" he asked quietly. She held his gaze. "We'll see." The Lennox estate was nothing short of grandeur, a wide stretch of sculpted gardens, cascading fountains, and imported Italian stone. But for the first time since Asher purchased it, it didn't feel empty. Lainey stepped out of the town car slowly, twins in her arms with Malik, rushing ahead excitedly to push open the oversized double doors. "Is this really our house now?" Malik beamed, already kicking off his shoes by the marble foyer. "It's your house," Asher said, holding open the door for Lainey. "If you want it to be." Lainey stood just inside the doorway, glancing up at the high ceilings, the velvet drapes, the curated art collection. None of it was familiar. None of it felt like home. Yet, a nurse assigned by Asher's private staff took Sarai from Lainey to place her in the prepared nursery. Sasha had already dozed off in Lainey's arms. "Your room is just across the hall from the nursery," Asher said. "My room?" she repeated. "Figured you'd want your own space at first," he explained. "I didn't want to assume." Lainey nodded. "Thank you. I also stocked the fridge with your favorite tea," he added. "And strawberries. Malik told me." She blinked. He remembered every little thing. Later that afternoon, Lainey wandered into the kitchen. It was nearly twice the size of her old apartment. She stared at the long countertop, overwhelmed. Asher appeared at the entrance, sleeves rolled up, tie discarded. "Don't panic. The espresso machine has a cheat sheet beside it," he joked. Lainey laughed. "It looks like it could launch satellites. I only use it to burn toast and make ice cubes." She turned serious for a moment. "Why are you really doing all this?" He leaned against the fridge. "Because I missed too much. Because I don't want you to feel like a guest in a house you helped create, even if we didn't realize it. Lainey lowered her gaze. I don't know if I can just live like this. Then don't. Make it something new, something that fits you. That night, after dinner, Malik sprawled across the couch, half asleep with his head on Lainey's lap. Asher fed Sarai, while Sasha lay curled in a Moses basket on the floor. Lainey's voice broke the quiet. What are we doing? Asher didn't look up. Feeding your daughter. You know what I mean. He set down the bottle and exhaled. I'm trying to rebuild trust, one day at a time. One bottle, one diaper, one apology at a time. I'm not asking for an apology. You deserve one anyway. Lainey stroked Malik's curls. You think this could actually work? Do you want it to? I don't know. That's okay, he said. I'll wait. The twins woke up simultaneously around midnight. Asher was the first out of bed. He walked into the nursery and changed one diaper with military precision, then rocked Sasha until her hiccups stopped. Lainey joined moments later, already lifting Sarai from the crib. Look at us, she said softly. Like, we've been doing this together all along. He looked over. Maybe we were always meant to. She walked past him, brushing his shoulder. Don't say things you don't mean. I never stopped meaning them, he replied. She didn't look back, but her grip on Sarai tightened slightly. The next morning, Malik woke up before the sun and tiptoed into their room. Asher and Lainey had fallen asleep beside each other on the oversized couch in the nursery, both twins tucked in slings on their chests. Malik stood in the doorway, watching for a full minute before whispering, This looks like a movie. Asher cracked one eye open. What kind of movie? Malik grinned. The kind where the good guys win. If you believe healing is possible, even after heartbreak, like share, subscribe, and drop a comment below with, I still believe, and let's show the world that second chances matter. Later that evening, Lainey stood at the door to her guest suite. Asher walked past, Malik on his shoulders, both of them laughing about something ridiculous. She watched them, watched how effortlessly Asher had stepped into this version of fatherhood. How long do I have to stay in the guest suite? She asked suddenly. Asher paused. You tell me. Lainey smiled. Ask me again tomorrow. He nodded, heart pounding. And this time he didn't press. The Lennox estate awoke slowly, quietly. No corporate calls, no kitchen noise. Just the sound of baby gurgles, Malik's laughter from the living room, and Lainey's bare feet on polished marble. Asher had stepped out early for a short meeting at his downtown office, but he left a note on the kitchen island. Coffee already brewed. Twins had a bottle at 6. Malik asked for pancakes, but I promised him you'd do a better job. Lainey picked up the note, her lips tugging into a smile despite herself. She looked down at the white button-down she had thrown on after her shower. One of his, oversized, still faintly smelling like him. She hadn't meant to wear it, and now she didn't want to take it off. Mom, you burnt this one. Malik laughed, holding up a misshapen pancake. Lainey flipped the next with more focus. Let me see you do better, she challenged, sliding the bowl of batter toward him. Malik dipped a spoon with dramatic flair and poured a blob onto the pan. It sizzled unevenly. I call this one the dinosaur foot, he announced. Lainey laughed so hard she nearly dropped the spatula. Just then, Asher walked in. Black slacks, collar open, no tie. He stopped at the kitchen entrance. His breath caught. Lainey, bare legs, his shirt, her curls piled in a loose bun, her laughter echoing off the walls of his cold estate, making it feel alive. He swallowed. Pancakes? He asked. Lainey glanced over her shoulder, smirking. You're just in time for the dinosaur foot. With the twins down for a nap and Malik glued to a cartoon marathon, Lainey stretched out on the couch with a book. Asher sat in the corner armchair pretending to read the paper, but his eyes kept drifting back to her. She noticed. You're staring again, she said. You're wearing my shirt again. Technically, the first time, and dangerously well. She laughed softly. You know, it's weird. This place used to feel like it belonged to someone else. Now, not so much. Asher's expression shifted. Is that a good thing? She closed the book. It might be. Asher gave Lainey a quiet tour that afternoon, not as a host, but as a man slowly offering her keys to his world. This is the guest library, he said. Malik calls it the boring room. Lainey smiled. I love it. And this was going to be a cigar lounge, but I never finished it. Good, she replied. Cigars are disgusting. He smirked. You always hated them. You always lit one when you were stressed. I haven't touched one since you left. She glanced at him sideways. You didn't have to change for me. I didn't. I changed because I lost you. When they reached the door to the guest suite, Lainey paused. The crib had been moved to the main nursery. The side table was cluttered with bottles, nipple cream, pacifiers, burp cloths. The room didn't feel like hers. It felt like waiting. She turned to Asher. Did you make all these changes yourself? Some. Staff helped. But I picked every piece of furniture. I wanted it to feel like you. She looked around. You did too good a job. It doesn't feel like a guest room. It never was. That night, Malik insisted on a sleepover in the primary bedroom. He dragged in pillows, snacks, a flashlight, and a tablet. Asher set him up at the foot of the bed, and Lainey, still wearing the shirt, slid in beside him. The sheets were crisp, the air smelled of citrus and sandalwood, and the silence between them wasn't heavy anymore. It was hopeful. I like it here, Malik mumbled sleepily. I think the twins like it too. Lainey ran a hand through his curls. Why? Because nobody's sad here. Hours later, after Malik had rolled to one side and started snoring lightly, Asher lay still, his chest barely rising. Lainey turned toward him. You're really not going to make a move? She asked. He opened one eye. Are you asking me to? No, she said. I just wondered if you still wanted me. Asher didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached out, slipped his hand around her waist, and pulled her gently toward him. She didn't resist. He kissed her shoulder. Once. Then again. I never stopped. The boardroom at Lennox Holdings was unusually silent. 12 suited executives sat around a sleek obsidian table. Quarterly reports flashed on a massive screen at the head of the room. Asher sat at the center, stone-faced, sharply dressed, yet visibly distant. His assistant, Claudia, handed him a document. Chairman Lennox, your signature? He blinked, looked down, then paused. This is the second time I've handed that to you, Claudia added gently. Asher set down the pen. My apologies. My head's not here. A few exchanged glances. No one dared to speak. The moment the meeting adjourned, Asher retreated into his office and locked the door. He pulled out his phone and opened the security app connected to the nursery camera at home. Sasha was asleep, thumb in mouth. Sarai was squirming in her crib, trying to flip over. Malik's laughter echoed faintly in the background. Lainey entered the frame a second later, barefoot again, swaying gently with a bottle in one hand and a soft lullaby on her lips. Asher leaned back in his chair and smiled. That was where his mind lived now, not here. Asher's phone rang. He answered quickly. Dad, I heard from the board. You were late today. I was. Something wrong? No. Something right. There was silence on the other end. You sound different, his father finally said. I am. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's necessary. I suppose you'll miss the annual gala this weekend too. I'll be at home with my daughters. You've missed 2 quarters of investor dinners already. I know. Asher, you built this empire with your focus, and I nearly lost my family because of it. Claudia entered quietly with a fresh espresso. He waved it away. I'm good. You're always good, she said, teasing lightly. Just never this calm. He looked up. What do you mean? You used to pace this office like a caged animal before presentations. Today, you just sat there like a man who'd already won. Maybe I have. She smiled. Does this have anything to do with the woman who visited last week with a double stroller? Everything. That afternoon, Lainey showed up. No warning. No security clearance needed. Claudia had already put her on the approved list. She walked in wearing jeans and a cream sweater, twins in the stroller, and Malik holding her hand with a paper bag in his. What's this? Asher asked, stunned. Lunch, Malik announced proudly. Homemade? Asher grinned. Lainey made, she corrected. She set the bag on his desk and opened containers, grilled chicken wraps, a fruit salad, and chocolate chip cookies. Asher inhaled deeply. You're trying to ruin my diet. I'm trying to feed the man who skipped breakfast, she said. Asher sat across from her, Sasha in one arm, feeding her with one hand and eating with the other. You know you're being watched, Lainey teased. Let them watch. Not afraid of gossip anymore? I'm only afraid of missing more moments like this. Lainey smiled, looking down at her wrap. I missed you, she admitted. His eyes didn't leave hers. You don't have to miss me anymore. After lunch, Claudia pulled Lainey aside in the hallway. Can I tell you something? Lainey turned, curious. I've worked for Asher for 9 years, Claudia said. I've seen him rage. I've seen him win. But today, he was present. Lainey smiled softly. That means a lot. I'm glad you're back, Claudia added. Not for his sake, for his children's. Lainey nodded. Me too. Back at his desk, Asher adjusted a small silver clock. It used to face him, reminding him of his meetings. He turned it toward the photo frame Lainey had placed, one of Malik holding the twins on the nursery couch. Time didn't belong to shareholders anymore. It belonged to moments, and he'd never trade it again. It had been 2 weeks since Lainey moved into the Lennox estate. The household rhythm was starting to settle. Bottles at 6, Malik's school drop-off at 8, diaper rotations, late-night feeds, family dinners. But this morning, something felt off. Asher's usual warmth had thinned. He spoke less, smiled less. His phone never left his hand. Lainey noticed but said nothing. Yet, she passed by his office while putting Sarai down for a nap. Through the closed door, she heard Asher's voice, low, clipped, serious. I told you that part of my life is over. Why are you even reaching out now? A pause. Then, she's living here. Yes. And I don't need you showing up unannounced. Click. Silence. Lainey stepped back before the door could open. At breakfast, the mood was quieter than usual. Malik crunched cereal loudly at the table while Lainey poured herself coffee. Asher walked in, kissed Malik's head, and nodded at Lainey. No words. Lainey sat opposite him, her fingers curling around the mug. Everything okay? He looked up. Yeah. You sure? Just work. Lainey studied him. Right. Later that day, Claudia dropped by the estate to return a file. Lainey greeted her at the door, pleasant as always. But something didn't sit right. She noticed Claudia's red lipstick, the same shade Asher used to comment on, the one Lainey used to hate seeing on napkins in his office trash bin. She shook it off, until she heard them laughing in the hallway. It was casual, harmless, but it dug into old wounds, the fear of not being enough, the echo of how fast she used to feel replaced. That evening, after putting the twins to sleep, Lainey found Asher in the den, nursing a glass of scotch and staring at the fire. Who was on the phone earlier? She asked, arms crossed. He didn't look up. No one important. She stepped closer. Asher. He finally met her eyes. It was Melinda. Lainey stiffened. Melinda. Your ex? She's not anything anymore. She showed up at the office. Lainey's chest tightened. Why didn't you tell me? Because it didn't matter. It mattered enough to make you moody for days. Asher stood. What do you want me to say? That I saw her and instantly forgot you? That she wore red lipstick and I fell into old patterns? You didn't deny it, Lainey snapped. Because I'm tired of being accused for things I haven't done. And I'm tired of being afraid I'll never be enough for your world. He paused. That hit. You are, he said softly. You always were. Then why do I feel like I'm holding on to something that could slip again? Because we've both been here before, he whispered. But this time, I'm not letting go. The shouting had stirred Malik. He peeked in through the doorway, rubbing his eyes. Are you guys fighting again? Lainey knelt and opened her arms. He ran into them. No, baby. We're just talking loud. Asher walked over and crouched beside them. We're figuring things out, he said gently. Malik looked up. I like it when we all eat dinner together. Lainey kissed his cheek. So do we. Later that night, they lay in bed in silence. Asher stared at the ceiling. Lainey lay on her side, watching his profile. Do you regret bringing us back into your life? She whispered. He turned to her. Every day I didn't have you was the regret, he said. This is the beginning. He reached out, brushed her hair behind her ear. I'll prove it every single day, even when you doubt it. Lainey closed her eyes. I want to believe you. Then let me show you. The weather matched Lainey's mood. Heavy clouds hovered above the estate, and the air crackled with tension. Inside the kitchen, Malik was singing off-key while coloring. The twins were napping in the nursery. Lainey wiped down the counter for the third time. Asher still hadn't come home. He had promised dinner at 7. It was now past 9. She checked her phone. No messages. No calls. Just silence. The front door opened with a soft click. Asher stepped in, rein on his collar, phone in his hand. "Hey," he said, like it was nothing. Lainey stared at him, arms folded. "You forgot." "What?" "Dinner." Malik waited. I waited. I got pulled into an investor call. Lainey's voice was tight. "You said today was blocked off. I didn't plan the delay." She scoffed. "That's the problem. You never plan the damage, you just cause it." Asher placed his phone on the counter. "Lainey, don't start." She stepped toward him. "Don't start? I built trust with you brick by brick these past weeks, and in one night you tear it down. You think I did this on purpose? I think you don't know how to prioritize what matters." He exhaled through his nose. "You want me to quit everything, shut down my company, burn my legacy. I want you to see us when we're standing right in front of you." She stormed outside, slamming the door behind her. The rain soaked her instantly. Asher hesitated, then followed. He found her barefoot in the courtyard, head tilted to the sky, tears blending with rain. "You said you changed," she said without turning around. "I did. Then why do I feel like I'm chasing you all over again?" "I didn't ask you to." "No, you just left space for me to." He walked closer, heart thudding. "What do you want from me, Lainey?" She turned, mascara streaked. "I want a man who shows up, not with flowers, not with money, just with presence." "I'm not good at this," he said. "Being vulnerable, getting it right the first time. Then say that. Don't hide behind silence." "I didn't want to ruin the calm we had." "You didn't ruin it, Asher," she whispered. "You just reminded me how fragile it still is." He looked down, raindrops hitting his lashes. "I came home late because I was picking something up," he said quietly. She frowned. "What?" He reached into his pocket, pulled out a velvet box, and held it without opening it. Lainey's breath hitched. "This wasn't supposed to be like this," he said. "Like what?" "Screaming in the rain. You crying. Me defending myself like I'm on trial." He opened the box. Inside sat a platinum band. Elegant. Bold. 3 small diamonds glimmered. One for Malik, one for Sasha, one for Sarai. Lainey covered her mouth. "Asher." He shook his head. "I'm not asking now." She blinked. "You're not?" "No," he said. "Because you don't need promises made out of guilt. You need time, space. But I want you to know this was real. It still is." He stepped forward, slipped the box into her hand, then pulled her into his chest. They stood there, silent, soaked, hearts pounding. "I still want us," she whispered. "I still choose us," he replied. "But we're not ready." "Then I'll wait." Later, wrapped in dry towels, Lainey sat on the bed holding the ring box. Asher changed into sweats and sat across from her. "Why 3 stones?" she asked softly. He glanced at the twins' monitor, then at Malik's shoes by the door. "They're my reasons. The ones that saved me." She opened the box again. "They're beautiful. So are you." That night, Lainey curled into him. There was no heat, no urgency, just warmth. He kissed her shoulder, then whispered, "Next time I ask, I want you to say yes without hesitation." She looked over her shoulder. "Then make me believe it every day until then." The next morning wasn't loud. No slamming doors, no heated words. Just the soft clink of Malik's spoon against his cereal bowl, the quiet breathing of 2 sleeping twins in the bassinet, and the sound of Lainey humming while packing a small diaper bag. Asher stepped into the kitchen freshly showered, sleeves rolled to his forearms. He kissed Malik's head, poured himself coffee, and sat beside Lainey without a word. No tension, no armor, just a man still trying. A courier arrived shortly after breakfast. He handed Asher a slim, dark velvet box, not jewelry. Something heavier. Lainey raised a brow. "Another surprise?" He smiled. "Sort of." He opened the box. Inside was a custom bracelet, delicate and simple, with the engraved initials M.S.S. Lainey's eyes watered instantly. "For you," Asher said. "I didn't want to overwhelm you with rings and promises again. I just wanted you to wear something that reminded you you're not alone." She placed it on her wrist, slowly, reverently. "I'm scared," she admitted. "So am I," he said. "But fear means there's something worth losing." Later, they took a walk through the nearby park. Lainey pushed the twin stroller. Asher carried Malik on his shoulders. The sunlight bounced through trees and softened everything it touched. "Are you gonna marry Mom?" Malik asked suddenly. Lainey choked on her drink. Asher grinned. "I'd like to." "She already lives with us," Malik added. "I think that's what married people do." Lainey ruffled his curls. "Not quite, baby. But it'd be cool. Then all my friends would know I have a real family." That hit Lainey harder than she expected. She looked at Asher. He was already looking at her. That evening, Lainey rocked Sasha to sleep while Asher changed Sarai's diaper. The light from the mobile cast little stars on the ceiling. "I used to dream about this," Lainey said softly. "A quiet home, babies in the nursery, someone to share it with. Then why'd you run when it got too close?" "Because I didn't think I deserved it." Asher turned, holding Sarai in one arm. "You still think that?" "Sometimes." He stepped closer. "Do you know why I picked 3 stones for that ring?" She shook her head. "One for each child. But also," he placed Sarai in her crib and turned back to Lainey. "One for the past, one for the present, one for the future." She looked up slowly. "I've made peace with the past," he continued. "I'm standing in the present, and I want to build a future with you." Lainey stared at him, stunned. He dropped to one knee, not with fanfare, but with sincerity. He didn't pull out the box. He didn't rehearse a speech. He simply looked up at her, eyes raw and steady. "Lainey Rivera, will you marry me? Not because we're trying to fix something, but because we've already started something worth protecting?" She laughed through her tears. "Now?" He smiled. "Only if you want forever to start today." She crouched down in front of him, pulled his face to hers and kissed him. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes." Malik burst into the room seconds later, holding a half-eaten granola bar. "Did I miss something?" Lainey laughed. "We just got engaged." He blinked. "Like, forever?" "Forever," Asher confirmed. "Do I have to wear a suit?" Lainey grinned. "Only if you want to match Daddy." Malik looked up at Asher. "Can it have a cape?" Asher nodded solemnly. "It better." That night, the family sat down for dinner, just the 5 of them. No housekeepers, no chefs, just spaghetti, garlic bread, and paper napkins with cartoon designs. "I want a backyard wedding," Lainey said suddenly. Asher looked up. "No ballroom?" "No ballroom, just lights, laughter, and kids running barefoot." He reached across the table for her hand. "Done." The Lennox Estate backyard, usually reserved for investor brunches and charity galas, looked completely different that afternoon. Fairy lights hung from tree to tree. Ribbons curled around the white wooden arch set up near the flower beds. A path of rose petals wound from the house to a modest altar made of reclaimed oak. Malik helped the nanny set up folding chairs. His tiny suit had a gold cape attached with Velcro. "Super ring bearer," he announced proudly, flexing for his sisters in their matching lace onesies. Sasha blinked. Sarai yawned. Asher watched from the patio, his hands in his pockets. "I don't think I've ever seen this house look this alive," he whispered. Lainey stepped beside him in a white lace dress, soft, elegant, barefoot. "Good. Because neither have I." Inside, Lainey stood in front of the mirror. No veil, no corset, no makeup artist, just herself. And still, she felt more radiant than she ever had at her most glamorous. Malik walked in holding a tiny velvet pouch. "What's that?" she asked. He opened it and showed her 3 rings, 1 gold, 1 silver, 1 braided leather. "I made these at camp," he said. "For you, Dad, and me." Lainey knelt to his level. "I'll wear it," she said, slipping the braided one beside the diamond band. Malik grinned. "Now it's official." The vows were whispered beneath a glowing dusk. No crowd, no planner, just the sound of Malik giggling with the twins in a stroller and birds rustling above. Asher took Lainey's hands. "I don't have a script," he said. "Good," she replied. "Neither do I." He cleared his throat. "I used to think perfection was control. That love had to fit into a schedule, a goal, a projection." Lainey smiled through tears. "But then I lost you, and I learned love is chaos. Love is spilled milk, missed meetings, midnight feedings, 3 babies crying at once." She squeezed his hand. "I vow to choose this chaos," he continued. "Every day, every breath." Lainey stepped closer. "I vow to let you in," she whispered. "Even when I want to push you away. To trust you, even when I'm scared. to make mistakes and fix them together. Asher pulled the ring from his pocket. Simple. Platinum. 3 small diamonds. Again. He slipped it on her finger slowly. Lainey did the same, her fingers trembling. There was no cheering, no cameras, just Malik's tiny voice. Does this mean I'm allowed to eat more cake? They both laughed. Yes, Asher said. It means all of us get cake now. The reception was held on the grass with picnic blankets. Malik danced with the nanny. Sasha and Sarai kicked in their stroller. Asher fed Lainey a piece of red velvet cake with his fingers. You're going to ruin the dress, she giggled. Worth it. She leaned in. This is better than any gala. You're better than any fantasy. Before the sun dipped too far, Claudia, invited by Malik, approved by Lainey, snapped a photo. The 5 of them. Asher with one arm around Lainey, the other around Malik. The twins in their laps. A soft breeze lifting curls and napkins. Lainey looked at the photo on the camera screen. No filters, she said. No edits, Asher added. Just real, she finished. The house had settled into its quiet rhythm again. The hum of the baby monitor. The faint rattle of the wind against the windows. The clicking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. In the nursery, soft light from a star-shaped lamp cast a glow over everything. Asher sat in the glider chair with Sasha asleep on his chest. Lainey stood barefoot, rocking Sarai slowly while humming an off-key lullaby. You're pitchy, Asher whispered. You're ungrateful, she smirked. He grinned. That's my love language. They took turns feeding the twins. Asher held the bottle while Lainey wiped Sarai's mouth with a cloth. He looked at her, truly looked. You're so good at this, he said. Lainey glanced up. At what? Being a mom, a wife, a whole world. Her lips parted. You make it easy. I make it possible, he corrected. You make it beautiful. She leaned forward, brushed her lips across his. Don't kiss me while I'm holding a bottle, he murmured. Why? Because I won't want to stop. Later, in their bedroom, Lainey lay curled under the covers, nursing one twin while the other was asleep in the bassinet. Asher stood at the dresser, shirtless, watching her. Don't stare like that, she whispered. Why not? It's inappropriate. He smirked. You're topless, holding my child. I've never seen anything more appropriate. Lainey rolled her eyes. You're impossible. He walked over and climbed into bed beside her. Do you know how sexy you are right now? He whispered. She raised a brow. Leaking breast milk? Exactly. As she laid Sasha down, Asher pulled her back against him. He kissed her neck, slow and lingering. His hand slid across her stomach, her real, post-baby body. She tensed. He noticed. You still think I see you differently now? He asked. I don't feel like myself yet, she admitted. You feel like myself, he replied. Exactly how you are. His hand traced every curve like it was sacred. Lainey exhaled, melting into him. Their kiss deepened. No rush, no need to prove anything. It was the kind of passion that came after storms, earned and soft and electric. Later, Lainey sat between his legs in the bathtub, her head resting on his shoulder. The water was warm. The lights were low. Asher rubbed circles on her arms. You know, she said, this feels like a dream. It's not. How do you know? Because I never sleep this well in dreams. They both laughed. Lainey turned to look at him. Thank you. For what? For not giving up. For choosing chaos. He kissed her forehead. I didn't choose chaos, he said. I chose you. Chaos just came with the package. Before bed, they both peeked in on the twins. Malik was asleep in his room down the hall, arms wrapped around his superhero bear. Sasha stirred. Lainey adjusted her blanket. Asher whispered, Do you ever think we'd get back here? She shook her head. But I'm glad we did, she whispered. He kissed her hand. We're not back, he said. We're beyond. On her nightstand, Lainey found a sticky note the next morning. In Asher's handwriting, I'll never stop choosing you, even when you forget how to choose yourself. She stared at it for a long time, then pressed it to her chest. Sunlight spilled through the tall windows of the Lennox master bedroom. Asher stirred first, blinking against the brightness. Lainey was still tucked against his side, her curls a soft halo across his chest. One twin, Sarai, was nestled between them, her tiny hand resting over her mother's heart. Sasha cooed quietly in the bassinet nearby. From the next room, Malik's Saturday morning cartoon theme song played at low volume. The house felt lived in, warm, full. Asher shifted slightly and kissed Lainey's forehead. "I'm awake," she murmured, not moving. "Then stay like that," he whispered. Just for a bit longer. The kitchen smelled like cinnamon and vanilla. Lainey stood at the counter wearing Asher's hoodie, flipping pancakes while Malik set the table. Asher was in the corner holding Sasha, feeding her with one arm while checking the stroller assembly manual with the other. "No meetings today?" Lainey asked, handing him a plate. "Not a single one." She arched a brow. "I canceled them all," he said. "Nothing more important than this." Malik shouted from the table, "Except syrup. That's important." They all laughed. Claudia stopped by mid-morning, camera in hand. Asher had asked her to take a proper family photo. No suits, no staged backgrounds, just the five of them, barefoot on the front lawn. Lainey held Sasha, Malik hugged Sarai, and Asher had his arm draped over all of them, his smile easy and real. Claudia took one shot, then another. "You're glowing," she told Lainey afterward. "I'm grateful," Lainey replied. "Keep that," Claudia said. "It suits you." Later, Lainey stood at her vanity brushing her hair. Asher stepped behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist and resting his chin on her shoulder. "Would you believe me if I said this was always the plan?" he asked. "No," she smirked, "because you used to plan board meetings like they were military operations." "Still do," he said. "I just finally added Lainey plus family to the top of the org chart." She turned, looked at him. "I don't want to lose what we found here." "You won't," he said, "but you will need to fight for it, because life won't always be this quiet. Then let's promise to keep showing up." He kissed her. Always. That night, with all three children asleep and the city lights twinkling, in the distance, Lainey stood on the balcony wrapped in a blanket. Asher joined her, handing her a cup of tea. They watched the skyline in silence for a moment before she finally spoke. "You don't always get a second chance, but when you do, you take it, not because it's easy, but because it's right." She turned to him. "We lost each other once. But love, real love, has a way of finding its way home, even through fear, even through silence, even through time." Asher nodded, gripping her hand gently. "What matters most is not how long you've been apart, but how deeply you choose each other again. Dear beautiful family, if this story moved you, if it reminded you that love can be messy but still magical, I want you to do 3 things right now. Subscribe and like this video so more souls can find hope. Again, comment. I believe in second chances if you've ever loved, lost, and learned. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that healing is possible, even after heartbreak. Let's fill the comments section with stories of redemption, healing, and second chances. Let the world know love doesn't give up. And as the moonlight bathed their home in silver and the quiet of the night returned, Lainey rested her head on Asher's shoulder and whispered, "This is the life I never knew I could have." To which Asher replied, without hesitation, "It was always yours. I just had to catch up."